There you are. Found you
I'm
again.
here.
Okay. This is what? Episode 7?
Something like that.
Yeah, I
Six,
don't know.
seven, who knows?
I don't know. I should just stop trying to keep track. Conversation with Alden. And today I think we're gonna talk about the darker side of the Pine Lake experience.
Yeah. We were Pine Lake, as I mentioned, is kind of embedded in a black suburb, and the little street that I was on, Orchid, dead ended at the woods where there used to be a road through there, and the kids from the neighborhood or from the nearest apartment complex would use it as a shortcut occasionally. I'm not sure where they were going. My next door neighbor was an old Klansman. He was, uh, I'm sure he had robes in his closet hiding there. But he was the type of guy who would he was an attorney, and he worked in Decatur, and he represented a lot of black people for free in their legal problems. So he wasn't completely unsympathetic, but there were some lines that he felt needed to be drawn. We didn't talk about this much.
Probably good.
He was remarkably uh, patient with me when my landscaping started to include invasive plants, uh, English ivy and bamboos, stuff that would kind of creep over into his yard, and many people would consider to be an offense. But he was very patient with me, or he was buying his time. I'm not sure.
Just collecting all the info.
Uh, so one day, I guess I'm out in the front yard. I think he's in the front yard or on the front porch. And there comes a squad, like 4 or 5 young black guys, marching out of the woods in front of my house down the street, chanting about what they were going to do when they got their nines, which is the short for 9mm semi-automatic weapons. And how much fun they were going to have with that. So I looked over at my neighbor, and we both kind of exchanged this knowledgeable nod. We know what's going on. Anyway, my next step was to go out shopping for a gun.
Just in case.
I didn't have a gun, and if these guys were planning on coming on with guns, I wanted to have at least a chance. See, I went to a gun shop. The first one of the most popular ones around there, was the street sweeper. You ever heard of those or seen those? They're like a sawed-off shotgun with a rotating magazine, so you can do multi-shots. It's like a 12-shot short-range shotgun. Originally developed in South Africa for riot control. So I said, well, that's a little bit more of a statement than I.
Little overkill.
Yeah, I feel like meeting. So then he showed me, what's the, is it Russian? It's not the Glock. It's not the Uzi.
I no knowledge about guns.
Oh, but anyway, very, it'll, it'll come to me eventually. I'm sorry. So,
When you're talking
uh,
about something else, yeah.
pardon?
I said it'll come to you when you start talking about something else.
Yes, yeah, that's the way it works.
Yeah.
Constipation of the memory. I know it's in there. I just can't get it out.
Oh, that's the first time I've heard it put quite that way.
Uh,
So these black young men
yeah,
had walked past your house. Was there any activity from the other side of that spectrum?
no,
No?
no, there's no aggression on it unless you count the speed trap.
Yeah. Passive
But,
aggressive aggression.
yeah,
Yeah.
uh,
So did you end up getting a gun?
let's see. The street sweeper and the rifle weren't appropriate. And then I looked into the cabinet and there was an old Smith and Wesson 38 special. You
Like a
know,
pistol?
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, uh, there was just like the one that my dad used to carry when he was in the state troopers.
Uh,
It had the wooden checkered handle, which was well worn from, you know, from the owner putting his hand on it at various times. And
yeah.
I was reminded of that when I was listening to it may have been the Welcome to Pine Lake thing, but there's a black person talking about how they felt when they saw a cop putting his hand on his gun. You know, and I said, "Oh shit, this
Yeah,
one,
like you
this,
don't know what's gonna happen.
this one's been through that scenario a time or two."
Yeah. Uh,
So I got the pistol. I never used it. I hope I never do,
yeah.
except for target shooting.
You still have it?
Yeah,
Interesting. Yeah. I've shot guns before and it's enjoyable target shooting. I like it. I've
yeah.
never shot at a person. I never felt the need to. I've had people in my checkered past. I was shot at or the vicinity once or twice.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, back like 25 years ago, I had a boy. It was always the boyfriend, right? When I left the boyfriend, I just exchanged it for another set of issues. But he was addicted to crack,
Uh-huh.
and he would he would go. So this was in San Francisco. He would go to down, back into the bad area of South San Francisco, looking to buy drugs, right? And you'd pull up in this dark street, bunch of people hanging around, and he would roll up like because it was $20 for a rock or something like
Uh-huh.
that, and he would roll up a dollar bill, and he would crack the window, and he would poke it out, and they would give him the little baggie thing, and then he'd speed off because he was only giving them $1, and they didn't know that until they opened it up.
Oh, nothing like pissed off drug dealers.
Right, right. Got shot at. That car got shot at a couple times. And then one time they threw a bunch of shopping carts in front of the car, like a blockade thing, and he just drove through it. It was
Oh my word.
insanity. Just insanity. I look back on that now and I think, who was that person?
Yeah, that
Like,
that that, that sounds like major drama.
Yeah. Oh, my entire life was major drama back then.
Maybe
So
that's
knowing me now.
maybe that's where your heart problem started. That would have given me a heart problem.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it was, and I've talked about this to therapists before about how, they always ask you, have you ever contemplated suicide? Right? And I'm like, no. Um, but then I did things like that.
Yeah, that yeah, that could be considered suicidal behavior.
Yeah, yeah. And that was years and years and years of that, this self-destructive behavior. And another thing they told me that I really was shocked by, because every once in a while I'd be driving down the road and I would just idly in my mind think about what would happen if I jerked the wheel and ran head on into that semi. I wasn't
Oh,
gonna I wasn't gonna do it, but the thought was there. And they're like, yeah, that counts. You don't normal people don't think like that. I was like, whoa, okay.
that's occurred to me usually when I've had a car full of screaming kids.
It's just like, just make it stop.
Yes, yes.
No. Yeah, so it's just, all those weird things and that, and my life has kind of followed a bit of a cliche trajectory, and it's there's a reason why it's a cliche, right? Early trauma, self-destructive behavior, self-hatred, healing, and then here we are, right? That's how it works.
But you got a perspective on it now.
Yeah, but it took like 60 years, like we were talking about earlier. It takes a while. Yeah. Yeah, so it's interesting looking back on it. There's a lot of collateral damage along the way.
Uh,
But from this vantage point and the person that I am now and the person that my kids are now and people that my kids are now and stuff, it's very clear that it followed this pattern, and we've been very lucky to repair some of the damage.
yeah, it looks like you pretty much made it through the storm, the kids.
So, yeah, I think so. They have been amazing because they could have just said, no, we're not, not doing it. And they didn't. So I'm very, very lucky.
Great.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that was a weird side trip.
Oh, yeah.
How did we get there? Oh, yeah, shooting. South San Francisco. Have you ever lived in that area?
San Francisco?
Yeah, particularly the south side.
No, I passed through. I've been to, like Haight-Ashbury and North Beach. I don't think I've been on the south side.
Yeah, it can get pretty dark. Yeah. Yeah. I think there's been a lot of times where I narrowly escaped being this stupid white chick. You know what I mean? 'Cause
Yeah.
I looked at an apartment one time, and it was
Uh-huh.
in East Palo Alto, which is the same, right? There's the Richie Rich Palo Alto,
Yeah.
Menlo Park, all that, and then there's East Palo Alto.
Ah.
And I remember walking in this place, and it was literally like it was like projects, right? Just this cement square, apartments, and this big cement courtyard in the middle. And then this guy that was showing me the apartment was like, yeah, we could work out a deal for rent. And I was just like, oh God, get me out of here. Like I am just this stupid white girl in the middle of a place I shouldn't be.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So did you end up with any cuts or bullet holes or anything? No souvenirs, no?
No souvenirs. And it has kind of been the story of my life and of yours too, I would imagine. There's just, so you somehow you come out the other side of these things relatively whole,
Yeah,
right? And there's so many situations where it could have gone so horribly wrong, right?
yes, yes, yes,
And it didn't. The universe was looking out for you.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure you got a lot of those. Any stories about narrowly escaping death?
That place I I told you about the Broadway Central, right?
I don't think so.
You looked that up, the hotel. Uh,
Oh, I think you may have, but just as a
oh,
side note to something else.
it, it's on Broadway below 8th Street, or it was, and it used to be a very elegant place back in the New York's glory days, Diamond Jim Brady and all that stuff. When I was staying there, it was a welfare hotel. And when I go down in the elevator, sometimes I ride down with the muggers who were going out for the evening to ply their trade.
Hey, how's it going? Good,
Yeah.
good.
It's a challenge to strike up a light, friendly conversation with them, you know.
Right.
But
Scary people.
yeah, let's see. Oh, there was one memorable scene. I was sitting in a in the coffee shop on the corner near the Broadway Central. Uh, it's a complicated story. Someone said that they were going to sell me dope, and they didn't show up. You know, it was back, back in those days. But
Got stood up.
when I looked out the window, I could see one guy going down the street making a nuisance of himself, being loud and breaking car windows and just being rude.
Hmm.
The police car came up and the cops got out and frisked the guy. The only thing they were looking for was guns.
Right.
They didn't care what else he had done. They just
Right.
wanted to be sure that he wasn't armed.
They weren't going to get shot. Yeah.
So they satisfied themselves. He went on his way. That they went on their way, and not too soon after that, the revolver that I had been carrying around. I mean, not every day, but in my suitcase, ended up in a sewer someplace where, you know.
Just so you don't get caught with it.
Yeah, I thought this is more of a liability than it is a protection. So.
Yeah. Yeah. Wonder how many guns are floating around in weird places like that. I'm sure tons of them.
Oh yeah, yeah.
One reason or another. Get rid of the evidence or get rid of the liability.
Yeah, at the bottom of canals and such. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I wonder what future civilizations will think when they start digging up stuff.
I hope they make up some good stories about us.
I know we do about, we guess.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like the Wild West and such, you know.
Right. Right.
Well, I may have exhausted that one.
What do you want to talk about next time? Because we're at about a half an hour, so it worked out really well.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
What do you want to talk about next time?
Time flies when you're having fun. What we have been thinking about this time, that time that I got recruited into movie making in the Berkshires.
The French porn.
Yeah. Well,
You weren't in a porn movie. I will tell people you were not in a porn movie.
no, it was French. There had to be some boob, you know. There had to be
Little half nakedness.
a little teasing going on.
Yeah. Let's talk about that next time. I think that would be a good story. Excellent. All right, we will sign off for now. And I will talk to you. Well, I'll talk to you before next week, but
Yeah.
we'll do this again next week.
Thank you so much.
Okay, bye.
Bye now.